All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Sebastopol Inn Project Homekey meeting. For those of you who are new, we do these on a monthly basis. And today's meeting will start off with some brief introductions from the county of who's here. We'll do a little presentation we have for you, and then we'll take questions. So with that, we'll get started. So Chair Hopkins is unable to make it today, and in her place we have her District Director, Chyi. From the Community Development Commission and Department of Health Services, our Director, Barbie Robinson, is here. Our project lead for Project Homekey, Paul Osmondson, is here from the Community Development Commission. From our project operator, or medical services operator rather, DEMA is here, and Michelle, who oversees DEMA, will be here. I'm Rohish, I work for the county, so I'll also be here. And with that, we'll get it started. Let me pull up these slides.
And I did confirm with Rahish that we are recording this, so if there were people who couldn't make this, they'll be able to watch the recording after the fact. And you know, we heard people's feedback, and some people wanted daytime and some wanted evening, but since we did daytime last time, we went with the evening. That was the request of the community in our last meeting. Go ahead, Rahish. Thanks for letting me interrupt.
Yep, no problem. Thank you. So just in case some folks are new, again, Project Homekey serves a specific subset of those who are unsheltered, and those are COVID vulnerable individuals over the age of 65 and or with chronic or acute health conditions. These individuals can have something like cancer, COPD, heart disease, have diabetes, suffer from mental health issues, or substance abuse. And with that, I'll turn it over to Michelle to provide an update from DEMA.
Hello, everybody. So currently right now at the Sebastopol Inn, we have 21 residents that are living there. Actually, it says 3 by the end of the week, but I just got off another meeting. There'll probably be about 5 by the end of the week, with the next 3 moving either tomorrow or the following day, depending on how quickly they get their belongings packed up and ready to go. So by the end of the week, I'm actually suspecting that we're going to have 25 or 26. We can go to the next slide, Ravish. And there's the number for the phone. If anybody needs to call, have any concerns or anything, please call that anytime. We're happy to answer any of your questions and your concerns. I think that one is Paul.
It is me.
That's you.
I didn't realize I was on mute. Yes, this is for Paul.
Yeah.
If you want to focus in a little closer, Rohish, on that, it'll help everybody. So this is a site plan that shows Gravenstein Station and the bike center shop building next door. Elderberry Commons is at the bottom of the slide in the light pink area, and then the other 3 buildings are Gravenstein Station, the rest of our common development, and then the I don't know what you call that shaped building on the upper right is the bike center. The Rododa Trail runs from the bottom to the top. It's where the trail enters the city of Sebastopol. And so this is this drawing is to just give us an oversight of the general area. To the right of Elderberry Commons, the former Hotel Sebastopol Inn, is the Wright construction residential development that's underway right now, under construction. I'll say this right now, Rohish is going to post these on our website so that you can take a closer look at them. There's a lot of information on here about the details of what we're talking about in terms of fencing, security, landscaping, and things of that nature. So next slide. Really focus in close on this one.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'll just keep talking. So this is the floor plan of the hotel, of the property. The courtyard area is landscaped, and you'll see a little bit later, we're going to enclose the entire property with fence and security so that nobody can enter the property unless they are a resident or a guest of a resident. So we're going to have a system where the card keys are the only way to get into the property, and it'll give some security for the residents as well. It's a total of 31 units right now. It's a mixture of rooms with one bed and some rooms with two beds. You'll see it a little bit later. Next slide, please. That's the second floor plan. Next slide, please. So for us to convert these, the plan, for those of you who haven't heard this, the program that we acquired this property under requires us to operate it for the interim as a transitional housing for COVID vulnerable homeless. But we will be converting this to permanent housing. It's income restricted, no more than 30% of the household income. And our current plan is to take the rooms and add kitchenettes, which will then allow effectively there to be 31 efficiency apartments here in the final configuration. If you focus in a little bit closer, you can see, Rohish, we wanted to be sure that we could fit the kitchenettes and make sure the apartments were workable. So we've done those architectural layouts and confirmed that they work. Next slide, please. This is looking at the property as you drive into from the main entrance off of Sebastopol Avenue, just as you get past the main Gravenstein Station building that has coffee cats. So if you focus in a little closer, Rohish, you can start to see that we're proposing a wrought iron fence across the ground floor so that provides that security, so that people cannot come and go unless they have a card key or check in at the office. Next slide, please. This is looking at the property from I'm not going to use directions, but from the parking lot nearest the Rododa Trail. So that's the office on the left. And you can see that the fencing, or the gate, I guess you call it a fence, fits in with the architectural style that's already there. Next slide, please. This is looking from the courtyard out towards the parking lot. You can see it's a pretty nice landscaped area. I think Michelle can tell you the residents are probably already using it and enjoying it. It's a nice outdoor safe area. During COVID, that's the preferred area to gather. Next slide, please. So this is looking back at the parking lot from the Rododa Trail, just kind of between the front Gravenstein Station building and the bike center building. So what we heard from the last meeting was that people were worried about two things: people just walking through the parking lot, homeless and others, and emergency vehicle access from the mobile home park and a little further to the on the other side of the bike center parking lot and the residential development. So what we've done here is proposed a chain link fence that runs along the edge of the trail, so that you'll see where our main pedestrian entrance is back by the hotel. But this would allow emergency vehicle access from all those properties through the Gravenstein Station parking lot. We're going to lose 2 parking spaces here, which are currently allocated to the hotel and the future residential. But from what we heard from emergency responders, the fire chief, and everyone else, this is a fairly important component. Next slide, please. This is at the Rododa Trail leading into the property, Elderberry Commons. Our office is there. There's fencing we'll put in new fencing along the side of the hotel that faces the Rododa Trail. And we're going to widen, make this a real clear entrance where people will be able to come into the, to get to Coffee Cats, come here and get into the property from the trail, as well as from the other residential development, which actually won't have a fence on their side of the trail. Next slide, please. This is looking at the two buildings right at the very end of Rododa Trail as it reaches Sebastopol Avenue. This is kind of it's not a great view, but if you've been out there recently, these are the backs of both of these buildings, and they're not very attractive and a little bit of a shabby look. So our proposal is to extend the fencing all the way to the on the Gravenstein Station side, all the way to the street, and then to landscape and upgrade the landscaping on the Bike Center building side and get that a little more consistent. Next slide, please.
I think that's it.
That's it.
All right, so that concludes our presentation. As usual, we'll take your questions. If you want to use the raise hand function, I'll know to call on you. I think we can start off with a question from the chat. This is from Tim. Is work being done within the original purchase amount? If not, what is the additional cost estimate?
I can answer that. This is above and beyond the original purchase amount. We were awarded $6.2 million in Homekey money, which paid for the acquisition. Our Board of Commissioners, the Board of Supervisors, approved an additional $2 million for Project Homekey, a portion of it for Sebastopol Inn, Elderberry Commons, and a portion of it for the other. So this would be funded with money that was allocated from the Board of Supervisors. The additional cost.
In fact, it's not additional money. It was part of the appropriations and the authority given from the board.
I'm sorry, Barbie.
No worries.
And the additional cost estimate, we've just literally got this design done. We're going to be pricing it with local prevailing wage contractors. So I don't want to give you an estimate right now because we need to have a contractor take a look at it and be sure that we're have good information.
Right. Next question. All right, the next question we have is from Laura. Go ahead.
Hi, Paul. This is my first time seeing the drawings, and I have Radiant Health Center across the way from Coffee Cats. We have a pathway right there that, for instance, I ride my bike to work, and you would be blocking that off, as well as if you put that chain link fence all the way down like that, it would be blocking the windows and the views that I have currently, which I'm not really crazy about looking at a chain link fence. So I don't know if that's already done, but that's stressful to me.
We wish that we had had a chance to come and talk to everybody and show it. This is a little bit hot off the press. This is a draft, so we absolutely, if we need to modify the proposal to make access to and from the trail in more places, we can definitely do that. And the height of the fence is intended to only be 4 feet high. So I don't know how high the windows are, but it was intended to try to keep the area behind your building a little more secure.
Yeah, I'm not so worried about secureness. Yeah, Usually if homeless people are sitting back there, I open the window and say, could you please move along? And they move along. That's not a problem for me. But it would be a problem for me to look out on a chain link fence. That is not the view I want to be looking at. I would be totally positive about planting there. I used to have plants back there myself. But again, I had problems with people hiding things in the bushes in there. So I removed them.
Well, we'd be happy to revise this and come up with a landscaping proposal. The fence was, what we heard from the last meeting was people were worried about people just coming into the property from the trail. And so if that's not a major concern, then we certainly can revisit the fence. It was only to address the concern that people had about homeless coming through your backyard, basically.
Great. That's, I guess I'm one person's view. We've had homeless people coming in and out of there forever. It's not a problem for me. And I also need to have access from the Rododa Trail to my office. So I personally would not want to be going in front of currently DEMA's property. I would prefer to have an access point through where we have one now from the trail. I'm fine with the fence going on the bike side, because I understand that it was the people who are doing the new building that had a concern about protecting the trail and access there. But it does make what used to be Gravenstein Station was a community seem a little bit more like a, I don't know. I don't like the feel of it. It feels a little too prison-y for me. It's just one person's opinion. I appreciate you hearing my remarks.
I should be clear that on the other side of the trail, on the new development side and on the bike center, there is no fence. There's about a 10-foot wide gap between the edge of the trail, and the houses there have privacy fences, but there's no fence on the new residential development side of the trail.
I have a question from Leo, has his hand raised. Go ahead, Leo.
I was just going to follow up on that because I know that it was people who were concerned about the cut through to Morris Street, I believe. So it wasn't actually people in your building, Laura. It was either the owner or the people in the building. I believe it's the building with the bike shop in it, but I'm not 100% sure. But there may be some other, I don't know. I mean, Paul, if we were to try to, it's hard to make everyone happy, but maybe there's some way to kind of deter that cut through in a different way. I mean, I don't know, but I also raised my hand because I thought it would help if you could let people know sort of where we are in the process for the design, because I know you're we're kind of giving people information pretty early in a process that you're choosing to go through with the city.
Yeah, this is the second draft. We'll get feedback. Our next step would be to go to the design review board at the city and present it there. And so this is a work in progress. This is great to hear people's comments, and we'll adjust the design as we go along.
So it looks like we have Mayor Glass raising her hand. Go ahead.
Thank you. I couldn't find the hand thing on my Zoom. I don't know. There's all these configurations of Zoom and they're all different. Thank you for the presentation, Paul. I have to say I do rather agree with Laura. It does feel kind of like prison-y. And you know, part of that is because the two buildings make this kind of weird narrow hallway with each other. But it would, I think, feel a lot better if it didn't have that kind of the chain linky fence thing. I mean, it just, it doesn't feel like a happy trail to go on. So if you can work with Laura and other users or residents, I don't think you're not really a resident, the businesses in the adjacent properties, to see if you can come up with an adjustment to that design, I think it would be a good idea. And as I recall, I think Leo's correct. The person who was concerned about it was the owner of the building where the bike shop is. And I'm sorry, I can't remember her name right now. But perhaps if you can go back to information to loop her in as you work with the other, with Laura and the other people from Gravenstein Station to get more input about making it a little nicer, and then see if you could loop back with the woman from the bike shop. Maybe we can get a compromise.
I could share my screen and show you the site plan for the new housing. There's actually a sidewalk that connects to the trail, kind of right between the bike. If you go back to the, Rahesh, can you go back to the share screen for a second? There's a sidewalk that connects to the trail that's between the new housing and the bike center building. And there's also an existing vehicle access where the county parks and the police patrol the trail with their vehicles, and then they pull into the bike center parking lot. So the short answer is it will be very difficult to make, we can't really do anything about pedestrian access going to the, I guess it's the east, to the sidewalk and into her parking lot, because there's lots of open areas where they can just walk through anyway. So it's kind of not really, if you focus in on that really tightly, Rahesh.
Which area?
Just to the edge of the building. So, why don't we keep going, and I can try to, if you let me share the screen, I can bring up the,
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
side of, it'll take me a while.
Paul, in my notes, we have down that the woman who's the owner, her name is Pamela, and the notes were concerns about people choosing to go through the parking lot instead of Sebastopol Avenue, and that I think we had also talked about whether there were pedestrian safety issues with people walking around in the parking lot, but it sounds like that's the existing condition. So I don't know if how you want to.
We can't really do anything about it. There's a lot of grade changes, and we will not be able to prevent people from walking through the parking lot.
Okay.
I think, just if I can break in and make a comment to that, I think the condition of that parking lot's going to change because those condos are being built back there. So suddenly there's going to be a lot more people and activity that is like really positive activity with people, with residents there. So that's going to kind of make the space more filled with positive activity and not as much negative activity.
All right, thank you. We have some questions in the chat. And we have the first question from Jennifer. Are residents currently housed at Elderberry Commons going to transition into permanent residence, or are they going to have to leave and new residents will be brought in after the COVID period?
Hi, Barbie Robinson here. We see the Elderberry Commons as a part of the continuum of housing. Sorry if you can't hear me. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
It's part of the housing continuum, and there's no time limit on people leaving we don't have any restrictions around, hey, you can only be here for this period of time. If what we anticipate is as folks become more self-sufficient or improve their well-being, they may want to graduate on their own and go live in other independent, affordable housing, or just housing in the county. And so there's no restrictions for people to leave, but we're not requiring them to vacate the premises after a certain period of time.
Thank you. Another question we have from the chat is from Oliver. And his question is, are you keeping the pool intact?
Do you want me to answer, Barbie?
Yes.
It's unlikely that we're going to keep the pool intact. We thought it might be an asset that could be utilized, but we think there's other uses for that space that could help support both the existing and future use a little better than a pool.
Yeah.
Thank you. And again, if you have a question, please raise your hand. We're more than happy to answer it.
Do you want me to share a screen?
Yeah, if we're waiting, yeah. Feel free to share a screen.
So I'll move my cursor around. The hotel is here. This is the Rododa Trail along here. This is the parking lot for the Rand Enterprises, Pamela Rand's building. Right now, there's a driveway that comes here. There's going to be a new sidewalk that connects here to the Rododa Trail from the new Wright Enterprises residential development. And so I agree that there will be a lot of, this is going to be a much more active area. So this is a landscaped, this is basically a driveway. And right here, there's a curb that, as I mentioned earlier, the county parks and police will occasionally drive along here to patrol the trail and come in here. So there's no fencing on this side of the trail. On the east side, I guess, would be at all proposed, other than these fences on the back of the units that face the trail. So, and that they're back about 8 to 10 feet from the trail.
Right. And again, that was the site plan for the condos that are going up.
Correct. They're rental. At least they're going to rent. I plan to rent them to begin with.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Feel free to put your question in the chat or use the raise hand feature on Zoom. Or if you're having trouble, if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question, I think that's fine.
Rahish, I'll take the time and just jump in for a brief moment since Linda's not here, but I do, I think the whole county is pretty excited about the success of this project as well as the Azura. And, in a recent conversation with some state officials, we heard that there's the possibility that they would be expanding Project Homekey and Roomkey. So they're viewing it as a success as well. So, we genuinely want to hear what's working and what isn't working. And right now it sounds like things have been going really well. But if there are concerns that are arising that we're not aware of, do make sure that we're aware of them. I know that most of you are not shy about sharing that, but you can always send an email to me or I think any of us here, really. So I know that it's hard to make time in the evenings for these meetings. So we appreciate you being here and that you care enough to take the time, and we'll make sure that people are aware of where the recording is afterward. It'll be on the main CDC. Is it the Project Homekey site?
It's the Homekey page, and I send out a follow-up with that information.
Okay, great.
All right. I don't see any other questions. Someone has a question?
I guess I do have one question. I see that we have the police chief. Can you confirm that there has not been any significant police activity here, or how is everything going from your perspective?
Everything's going perfectly fine. No increase in calls, no significant issues that have been brought to my attention or my staff has seen at this point in time.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions?
Mayor Glass has her hand raised. Why don't you go ahead, Una?
You have to unmute yourself, Mayor Glass.
I know that. This is a question for Michelle, and I just wondered, now that you have more residents, how does it seem to be going with the residents? How are they feeling about the location, and how, all in all, how is it going?
Well, honestly, Mayor Glass, from my perspective, it seems to be going really well. I mean, they're very excited. The residents that are living there are excited that they have shopping close to them as well. I know they've been utilizing it. To me, seem things very good. I don't get very many reports about anything that's happening that would be worrisome. Actually, I don't think I've had any. minor, maybe one here and there, but nothing to do with really the residents. No, things have been really great over there.
Do you know, are they utilizing public transit? I know there's a transit stop close by. I don't know if they're,
I know that some of them do, yes.
okay. Thank you. Just wanted to hear how it was going.
Absolutely, anytime.
And we've, both Leo and I put the contact information, I put the phone number in for DEMA in case there is an issue that needs to be addressed. Leo put in the email for District 5. Do we have any other questions? Please feel free to use the raise hand function or unmute yourself and we can answer any questions. All right, I don't see or hear anyone with a question. So Leo, is there anything you'd like to say, or should we close this? It's a little early, but I want to check in.
I mean, I don't think so. Like this meeting was combined, like we had been meeting with the Gravenstein Station stakeholders and then having a general meeting, and that general meeting last time was clear that it was about business and impacts. So we decided to combine those meetings. Sounded like more people preferred the evening, but not everyone. I'm not sure if the Gravenstein Station tenants largely aren't here because of the evening time. So Rahish, we should talk about, I guess, whether we keep it in the evening or we alternate, which was the original idea. So, I think we can continue to have these as the community sees fit, but we could also move to as needed if people don't feel like we need the regular interval. And then when there is actually something new to report, if there's some transition or, I know Barbie and I have talked about the possibility of kind of just sharing out to the larger community the whole kind of continuum of care and how we're tackling homelessness in the county. So there may be room for something a little more general in the future if that's desired. But again, I just want to thank everyone for being here. Sounds like we'll stick with monthly for now, since at least one person wants that.
All right, if that's it, then I guess we can consider this, we can end.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, thanks everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye now.
I'll share the recording with you all. Thanks.
Wonderful.
Bye.